Alright, this is part 2 of this video series. Last time I forgot to mention about the cameras. We have one camera being attached to the Arduino, and all it does is just control a MOSFET switch to short two wires that come out of the snapshot button, and it just short those two wires, and then the camera will take a picture and they'll store it inside an SD card. Alright, so in this video we will talk about the schematic in more detail. Alright, let's start with the 10 amp motor driver on top here. So there's two sides to this. One is the logic side, which is low signal, and the other side which is the power side, and that's to feed the power directly to the two DC motors. So for the logic side, you have a ground and a 5 volts, and that's to feed the MOSFETs that they have inside. And then you have these logic pins, 4 of them, and each is labeled with a pin number on the Arduino. Like here, you have 26, 22, 20, and 24. And this is defining the code with the color of the jumper wire. So if you need reference, just go to the Arduino code. On the power side, you have the 7.2 volts, which is for the two DC motors, and the ground. And you have 4 leads, which will be attached to the two DC motors. And it's pretty straightforward for this part. So so the 7.2 volts is obtained from the DC to DC converter, as I mentioned earlier in the other video. Another thing I added for stability is an additional MOSFET here that will be controlled by the Arduino pin 27. So it controls the ground, which you can see here. So the motor driver will be inactive until the Arduino allows it to be active by shorting the ground to the actual ground. Okay. So in this case, when you power up the robot won't jerk for a brief moment. Okay. So over here, let's talk about the 3 amp DC-DC converter. So it takes in at 9 volts to power it up, and then you have the ground, plugging the ground for the input side, and you set the variable output to 6 volts, and it outputs the ground also. So you can feed the 6 volts to 2 servos for their power input, and then the 2 PWM signal wires are from the Arduino themselves, and then you have another MOSFET to control the enhance the stability of the system when at startup. It controls the ground, and it's controlled by the Arduino pin 25. Okay. So now if we move on to the camera part. So as I mentioned earlier, the camera is you can take a picture with a camera by shorting the 2 wires that are attached to the snapshot button. So all you do is using a MOSFET and the Arduino pin, and to turn high, and that'll short the 2 wires. And the important thing is you must ground the source lead from the MOSFET to ground, or else it won't work. Okay, and then just to be safe, I added a 470 ohm resistor as a pull down resistor to the gate to enhance the stability of the MOSFET. Alright, so let's move on to the sensor part. So here we have a 9 degree of freedom sensor, and I use the I2C interface, serial interface. It requires 5 volts input, and then of course you need to ground that. And then you have the laser rangefinder from Parallax. It uses 5 volts to power it up, ground, and it outputs the serial UART serial signal out to the S out signal out. So you just plug that wire to the RX1 of the Arduino, which is the input side for the UART serial UART of the Arduino. So out we go into RX, and then here you have a signal in. So from the Arduino TX1, you just use the jumper wire to hook it up to the S in. So that is it for the sensors part. So over here, for the Arduino Mega 2560, I use a 5 volt source directly from the power supply to power it up, and of course it's grounded because the DC jack. And then you have the XB module. It's power with, as long as you have the XB on the adapter, you can use a 5 volt source from the USB output on the power supply to hook it up to the XB, and that will power it up. It takes 10 seconds for the XB to warm up and get ready for transmission. Here the XB is a little different, so be careful with the TX and RX sign. But so you need to hook up the TX from the XB to the TX0 on the Arduino, and then hook up the RX on the XB to the RX0 on the Arduino. Don't ask me why, but I think they could have done better with the labels on the XB. Alright, so the signal is going to come out here this way and then go into this TX. So, and then the signal is go from XB going to the RX. That's the polarity of the serial signal. Alright. Alright, this is the XB located on the robot. So the 5 volts comes from the power supply. So this one is going to be output to another lead here. So we're going to use that 5 volts to connect to the breadboard to power up other components. So make sure you connect the 5 volt pin to the breadboard, 5 volt rail, and also the ground part. For the Arduino Mega, make sure you connect the ground to the breadboard also, so that you don't have a difference in voltages or ground levels. Alright, and of course the PC will connect it to the second XB via USB, and that should be straightforward. There's not much there. Alright, this will conclude the second video of this series. Thanks for watching.